Hey everybody, welcome back to the Miniac, and tonight is live stream number, who really cares? But this live stream is going to be a recap of the which Mini would Batman drive, and also the recap of the most loved Mini in the world. So, should be interesting, but before we get to that, I just want to thank my sponsor, outmotoring.com, for continuing to support the channel, and I'm going to include a link to their website in the chat next to me, so if you want to get some interesting new parts for your Mini, new accessories, you name it, go over there, check them out. They'll be happy to help you. Also, I happen to have for most of you who don't know, I have a Teespring store where I have t-shirts and stickers and sweatshirts and long sleeve shirts, you name it. And I might be able to make something for you if you have a specific thing in mind. So head over to the Teespring store. That's at teespring.com/stores/the-miniac. And if you haven't already heard, I also have a Patreon for the channel. Yeah, I am becoming one of those YouTubers. I have almost everything. So head over to that. That link will be provided as well if it actually worked correctly, and it doesn't look like it did. But it's basically patreon.com/theminiac, and become a patron of the channel. It's I think the lowest tier is just $2 a month, and that's just to basically say thank you for. It's just basically saying thank you to the channel. So kind of a cool thing there. I know at least one subscriber of mine already is doing, I think it was $9 a month. So he is also coming up soon, he's going to be getting a grill badge and a sticker, as I'm having grill badges made by motoringbadges.com, otherwise known as motoringstripes.com. And if you don't know who that company is, that is the company owned by one of the hosts of White Roof Radio. So pretty cool thing there. But anyway, let's get down into the nitty-gritty of those last two videos. As you know, I did two videos on the most loved Mini in the world. That was the black modified John Cooper Works Roadster. Now, the first video was the video titled "What Mini Would Batman Drive?" And in all honesty, the way that car looks, it looks to me like a Batmobile. All it's missing is the Batman logo on the sides of the car. Really, that is all it really needs to complete the look. That is just over the top, quintessential. It's just over the top. It's an over top car. All it's missing is an afterburner on the back. And honestly, I talked to the owner of the car recently, and he's thinking it might be kind of fun to put like a fake afterburner on the back of the car, or knowing him, maybe a real one. So that was an interesting video. It was incredibly scary driving that car because the way the car is raked, the nose actually will catch on the ground in certain areas if you're on an incline. But also, it just driving it around corners just doesn't feel like a Mini that can handle corners really well. It's really weird. And you think with all that horsepower that they added to it, it has a Manic Stage 3 tune, among other things, that it would be able to handle a lot of this stuff. But it was incredibly crazy to drive and just incredibly insane. And it scared me while I was driving. I left the stability control on, but I know someone who's driven it just for fun, and he drove it with the stability control off, and he said even then it was a handful. So taking it around corners was not fun. But interesting car. Not everyone's favorite car. Obviously, it's not everyone's favorite car. I know that for a fact. Some people have gone to the point of attacking the car at great length on Facebook, at great length on my YouTube channel, and we'll get to that in a second. But the other video, which was originally scheduled for this Friday, was the video titled "The Most Loved Mini in the World." And that was the video where I actually interviewed the owner of the car and went around and walked around it. Now, here's the thing. The owner's very eccentric, very eclectic. You get the picture. The car reflects him in a way, or as he says, the car is perfectly normal. But the funny thing is, and most people don't know this, is that whole video was basically planned out that way. I had no clue what he was going to say when I asked him those questions. So it was shooting from the hip, as it were, when it came to that video. So it was just incredibly nerve-wracking at times to kind of get it just right. And every time I asked him a question, I had no clue what he was going to say. I had no clue what he was going to do. And it was just really funny. You had to have been there to actually see just how humorous this really was. The guy is a very eclectic, very eccentric kind of person, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's kind of what makes it an interesting thing. That's kind of what makes the car so interesting, despite the fact that it is not the most liked Mini in the world. Now, digging into all that, let me just say that I have no issue with you all saying anything negative about the car or the brand, for that matter, or you name it. Where I do draw the line, I do have an issue with personal attacks directed at me And I have personal attacks, and I have an issue with personal attacks directed at the people that I choose to feature on my channel. So it's up to you. You can either choose to play nice, you can critique the car if you so choose, but if you make any personal attacks to me or the people that I feature on my channel, I will, first time, I will remove the comment. I will take the comment down completely. Second time that I see that from that same user, you're going to get banned. I'm sorry. As much as I want to have the subscribers and views on that channel, I'd rather not have to deal with people just feeling a need to troll on my YouTube channel and just being complete jerks about it. So feel free to do whatever you say, whatever you want, and troll the car all you want. I don't care. But when you start attacking, when you start taking personal attacks to people, that's where I draw the line. So, anywho, getting on to that, I have nothing else really to say here other than I'm opening this up to questions. Anyone have any questions about those two videos? I'd be happy to answer them. If anyone wants to know stuff about the cars, you name it, I'm happy to talk about that. But keep it clean, obviously, because this is YouTube, and I don't like to deal with having to ban people, and I definitely don't want to do that, obviously. But I'd be happy to answer any questions about the cars or about the car in general, answer questions about doing the video, you name it. I'm happy to talk about it. And the floor is open. So if anyone has anything to say, I see we have at least 6 people here. Sean Nicholson, I think the owner of the Mini is an artist and he should be celebrated. We are all artists with our own Minis. Sean, he is an incredibly interesting character. I had a chance to chat with him at length. He's very eccentric, very eclectic. He actually basically told me that he wanted me to do the video early. I initially had the video scheduled for Friday, and he's like, could we do this video earlier? And I was like, sure, why not? So it went live sooner than I had originally planned. But that just means that there's more stuff to talk about. It's honestly, that video has been my most viewed video in a very short period of time for a while, aside from the John Cooper Works Clubman I did a while back. But yeah, the owner's very interesting. He's actually not a, as far as profession, he's not an artist. He's actually a stock investor. So it's kind of an interesting thing. And you know how eccentric people are when they have a lot of money. They don't dress the way we do necessarily. They might not even dress nice at all. They might just dress in any way they wish. And it's kind of an interesting thing to talk with that guy. Any news? Okay, Mini Mafia. Any news about GP3? How many GP3 will be shipped to the U.S.? Last time I heard, GP3s are going to be about 500 cars shipped to the U.S. I believe there are currently at least 80 or so that are not allocated yet, because the cars are shipped based on orders, and I think 80 of them haven't been ordered yet. So there's still at least 80 or so, I think, that are still out there. I could be completely wrong on that. It might be 70, it might be 60, but last I heard there was at least 80 cars or so that were still available from the shipment that's going to come to the U.S. But that is all I know really about the GP3 at the moment. They don't really have anything else going out there about the GP3, so I have no clue exactly what's going to be going on with the GP3 when it does come. I'm hoping that I will at least get to drive one. If I have to, there's going to be at least 2 or 3 coming to the dealership locally here, but I don't know if I'll be able to drive them. I was offered an invitation to actually drive one at a Mini dealership up in Boston, but I would have to fly up there to drive it. So I'm not a big fan of flying, so I don't necessarily know how I'll do that. But if I have to fly up to Boston to do it, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm probably going to stick around here and see what happens and hope that I get a chance to at least photograph and video the car for the channel. So that would be at least something. Mini Mafia, is it true the GP3 is faster than the M2? It was faster than the 2016 to 2018 M2, but the 2018 but the M2 competition is faster by, I think it was not quite. I think it was a few seconds faster now. The M2, the new M2 is faster, but the GP3 is like just nipping at its heels. So it was really an interesting thing when I found that information. It was not very far off as far as speed, but the GP2 or the M2 from like 2016 to 2018 was supposedly slightly slower than the GP3. So the M2 competition is slightly faster than the GP3 because, I mean, we know how BMW is. God forbid the M cars are slower than Minis. So that's kind of what happened there. So information I had gotten at a later date, but the GP3 did a time of, I think it was 7:56, give or take, if I remember correctly. So under 8 seconds. I'm sorry, under 8 minutes. But that is not terribly slow, but it's also, it could be faster. I think the car could have been even a lot faster. I think they could have put a lot more horsepower in it, but I think they thought that they were pushing it by increasing the horsepower tremendously. So they topped it off at 300 horsepower. Mini Mafia, when I get the GP3, you need to come to Chicago. I'll let you drive it. Depends on what month they come in, but I may have to take you up on that. So you'll have to get in touch with me over on my Instagram, which is at the.miniac, and we could chat more about that then. But that might not be a bad trip for me to head up there and drive a GP3 for a video or two. That could be pretty fun. I wouldn't mind doing that. But yeah, I think that could be pretty cool. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure when they're coming. I know they're supposed to be starting delivery like in April. So I'm not sure how many orders those are going to be, but I think it's going to be April through July is when they're going to start the cars. I can almost guarantee that we're going to see a GP3 at Mini Takes the States, if not 2 or 3. I imagine they're going to have a few of those on display for the drive. So that could be something interesting. I don't think they're going to drive them on Mini Takes the States. I think they're just going to transport them, but that'll be an interesting thing too, hopefully. So yeah, there's not much else going on with the GP3 at the moment. There's not much new information on that car. It seems like everything came at us in like November or October, November, December, and then it just kind of fizzled out. If you remember back in excuse me, if you remember back in November, I went through several weeks or so where it was tons of GP. It was not even several weeks. It was only about a week, but it was tons of GP3 video, and I think I exhausted my my stash of GP videos, so I wasn't able to get any more out there on the car. So unfortunately just ran out of stuff. But the GP3 is going to be an interesting car. I still think that they could have gone more horsepower, and I still think that they need to bump the horsepower up on the regular John Cooper Works. I think that would just make the car so much better. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. But there's not much else coming up really. We got the electric Mini obviously coming towards the end of, I think, March, which, excuse me, isn't as exciting as the GP3 obviously, but it's still a pretty exciting car for most people. And I know that I think some people have gotten some flack. I've gotten some flack. Anyone who's kind of just talked about the range being low is kind of just been getting flack from people who think that the range is actually just fine. But I still think 110 is a little low for a GP or for a electric Mini. But I mean, you never know these days. We'll see. It could end up being a great thing. I still think they should increase the range, but I heard the car's going to be pretty fun. Yeah, I understand Sonic Liberation. Yeah, the range does suck, but I don't know. I still think it's going to be a good car. I still think it's going to be a fun car. I'm still looking forward to driving it. But I think if it had been a range closer to like a Tesla, I think the opportunities to have it outside of the city might make more sense. But with the lower range, I think it's going to end up being a city car kind of thing, which isn't a terrible thing. Minis are good in the city. So Mini Mafia, I am looking for a roof spoiler for F54. I love the JCW roof spoiler for F56. Unfortunately, the spoiler doesn't fit the F54. Any suggestions? I don't think there's any other real spoilers that are different for the Clubmans. The Cooper spoiler and the Cooper S JCW spoilers are different on the Clubman slightly. I think the only place I could think of that might actually have a spoiler would be I don't remember. I want to say there's a company, Dual AG. That's what I'm thinking of. So I think Dual AG might have spoilers for that car, but I haven't seen any real like aftermarket JCW style spoilers or anything like that would fit in F54. Unfortunately, it's just the way the car is designed. The spoiler's kind of a fixture of the roof, so it makes it a little difficult to change the spoiler, unlike the Cooper S, and JCW, where the spoilers are all kind of interchangeable through the models. It's a little bit harder with the Clubmans, obviously. So I don't see anything happening with those spoilers anytime soon. But we'll see what happens there. You never know. They might change something, might redesign something. But as far as aftermarket, I think your best bet's probably to check out Dual AG. They're probably a little on the pricey side, but there might be other companies out there. That's just an odd part that's not really thought of very much. It's not really something that's considered because usually people are thinking of spoilers. When they think of spoilers, they're thinking of the hatchbacks. So that's the best I could probably give you there for that one, unfortunately. You might check out Outmotoring and see if they have a spoiler for the F54, but I don't think they did last I looked. So that could be something that a company might need to actually work on making. So that could be pretty cool, though. But we will see what happens. So Christopher Anderson says R53s rule. Okay. We'll go with that. R53s rule. I still think all of them do, but we'll see. Mini Mafia. Why Mini don't have remote start? Mini for about 1 year in 2016 or so had a remote start retrofit for the Minis in the U.S. market, and no one bought it, so they got rid of it. So there is no remote start feature for the for the Mini, while there is for the BMW. The BMW also has a retrofit kit as well, but unfortunately there is not one for the Mini. And even when there was one for the Mini, it was only for the automatic transmission ones. You could not get one for the manual gearbox, so they didn't do it. But it's not like, I don't know. I don't think the remote start is necessary for me personally, but I imagine there are people out there who do feel the need to have remote starters for their cars for obvious reasons, like in the wintertime when it's very, very cold out. But Mini just decided they didn't need it after trying it out for a year, and it just didn't sell that well. So it's kind of just one of those weird experiments with Mini to have a remote starter, and then it did not sell at all, really, which was kind of interesting if you think about it, because people wanted it, they put it out there, and then no one buys it. So that's about it going on right now with that. What else has been going on with Mini lately? My Clubman today passed 100,000 miles, so it's high mileage. It's really cold in Chicago in the wintertime. Okay, yeah. Yes, it's cold in Chicago in the winter. It's going to get pretty cold down here too. So, Sean Nicholson, are you going to have MTTS 20 decal available? A Miniac one. I don't know about a Miniac one. I'm going to have to talk to my vinyl guy about it. But I can definitely tell you that if you go to motoringstripes.com and go over to his motoring badges, he actually has Mini Takes the States decals already. He's already made some. So you might be able to pick up some of that. I don't know if I'm going to have anything for Mini Takes the States yet. I need to figure out how I'm going to put that together. Christopher Anderson, are the solid crank pulleys safe for my ride? The damper is done. Advice. I'm assuming crank pulley. So I'm assuming you have a dual mass crank pulley, one of the two-piece ones. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be. Why they wouldn't be an issue, or why they would be an issue. I would check with I want to say Detroit Tuned might have those parts. I'm assuming if it's a solid crank pulley, I assume you have like an R53, because I don't know if they make a solid one for the R56. I'm thinking they probably do, but I really don't know for sure. Sonic Liberation. Even as a city car, I wonder about what effect having to recharge the battery more frequently due to its shorter range and will have on long-term battery degradation. That's a good question, Sonic. I have no clue really about how that's going to affect it. And I imagine that there's going to be some real world testing done with the car as soon as it comes over to the US, where they're going to test that out and see how that works over a long period of time. So I can imagine it can be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing. I just don't know for sure yet, because there's no real testing that I've seen yet. Now, if you happen to know of some websites or some testing that has been done on it already, feel free to send that over to me, because I have no clue really what's going to go on with the electric Mini. Too many recharge cycles over the SE's lifetime. Well, like most battery cars, they are rechargeable. Well, the battery can be replaced. So I would imagine that they're going to offer a replaceable battery at some. They're going to probably have to replace the batteries after a certain cycle. I know that the Toyota Prius, the hybrid cars, their life cycle of the battery was at least 100,000 miles or so, which, given that was an older car, so it wasn't exactly the best thing. But I have no clue really what the recharge cycle is going to be on the Mini Cooper SE. Or what the lifespan of the batteries are going to be. So we're going to have to wait and find out on that. But we'll see, you know? If I seem tired, it has been a long day. Mini Mafia, any recommendations for dechroming the Mini? I don't like the chrome. I would recommend grill badges. I'm sorry. I would recommend blackout trim or beltline trim. You could do the beltline trim from they make a beltline delete kit at Out Motoring. It's a tape that actually doesn't stretch like electrical tape does. So I would use that for the belt line. And then as far as the headlight rings and taillight rings, I would use, assuming depending on the Mini you have, I would use the black. They make black trim rings actually to black out the trim for your Mini. So you don't actually have to like paint it or plasti dip it or wrap it. You can use the black trim rings. That being said, from personal experience, I know that the black trim rings, to me anyway, have been a little bit more flimsy than the chrome ones. So on my Clubman, I actually have chrome rings that are wrapped in vinyl because I didn't really like how they kind of the black ones kind of warped for me personally. It really depends on them. They don't all do that, but I had one that I had my car sitting in the sun a little too long and the ring kind of just warped on it. So that was on my car, but it doesn't do it on every single one. But I would say that if you want to black out your car, the trim rings are easy to get, and you can usually get them even from the dealership if you really want to. Sonic Liberation, do you think the 8.8-inch touchscreen option is worth getting with a Cooper? Excuse me. That really depends on if you want navigation in your car or you don't need the navigation in the car. Now, me personally, I don't feel like I need the touchscreen navigation in my car because I use my iPhone. So it's not something I feel like I need to have. But if you absolutely want to have touchscreen navigation, I'd say go for it. But if you don't feel a need to have it in your car, it's not something that you really have to get. It's not an option that's really needed unless you want the touchscreen navigation in your vehicle and you want that functionality of the touchscreen. You want that ability, especially if you really want like Apple CarPlay, for example. But I don't feel I need it personally with my car, so I don't have an F generation Mini, obviously. So, but if I had an F generation Mini, I don't think the touchscreen would be that necessary for me. I have been told that as far as an option that's kind of a necessity to some people, I know that the sales manager at the Mini dealership loves the heads-up display, so that's the one that I would even go for. But I don't necessarily think the touchscreen is really anything that's absolutely necessary unless you really want the touchscreen navigation capabilities and Apple CarPlay. So otherwise, I don't think it's a necessary option. But like I said, if you want the option, go for it. And I wish I had picked better lights. These are compact fluorescent lights, and compact fluorescent lights make me not feel good. So I'm going to try to keep this going until about 30 minutes, but these are not comfortable light bulbs to have over my head right now. So bear with me. If I'm talking a little slow, it's because these are making me not feel well. Plus, I kind of just haven't kind of felt good today. It kind of felt off, but I think that's because of the weather and my allergies. So Anyway, Sonic, you're welcome. Glad I could answer that in my best way possible. And if you do change your mind on that, then no worries. But if you decide you want to go 8.8-inch screen, go for it. So anyway, I have nothing else really that's been going on lately with the channel. I've upgraded a few pieces of equipment. I have some other new stuff that's on its way. And I have more videos coming. So the video that's going to be coming up this Friday that I think you're going to like is the car that I considered as a possible replacement for my Clubman. And you're going to get to see a video on that. Now, naturally, I decided not to replace the Clubman, but I'm hoping you all enjoy the video nonetheless. I'm not going to replace it, at least right now. So I decided I liked my car too much. I installed the Sprint Booster, though. The Sprint Booster that one of my subscribers was nice enough to send me. pretty cool little gadget. My only complaint is it's incredibly twitchy in race mode. So I drove it home last night in sport mode or in race mode, and that was a interesting experience. But then I decided today to just drive it in sport mode, and it was pretty good. Essentially, it gave me what the equivalent would be of Sport Plus, because I had the car in sport mode, traction control or stability control turned off, and then I had the sprint booster set in sport mode as well. Sport 9, I think, is the correct setting. So that was a pretty fun drive. I liked the increased throttle response on it, which is something I didn't think I had in the John Cooper Works. It's really weird. The John Cooper Works and the Cooper S's, the Cooper S seem to have a lot more torque down low, whereas the John Cooper Works had them up top. So as far as acceleration, it feels like the Cooper S's are faster, but I know that's not the case. So Mayo Chickens. Good screen name. Hello, sir. Hope you're doing well. Hit me up with follow on Instagram, and I'll follow you because I cannot find you, or I'm not sure if you have one. Mine is Mayo Chickens. My Instagram is @the.miniac. So if you want to check out my Instagram, that is the Instagram for the channel. That's where I post that's where I post the thumbnails to the videos when the video goes live. And that's where I occasionally do some other random mini related stuff if I'm not on Facebook doing it. So I'd go check it out there and see what happens. Mini Mafia, I see yesterday roof tent for Countryman, really interesting future for camping. Well, considering the Countrymans in the U.S. market come with a built-in roof rack, they don't come as an optional roof rack in the U.S. Makes it easier to put accessories like a roof tent on it, but I can't really imagine camping with a Mini. I can't really imagine taking a Countryman camping, although that might not be a bad thing. But then again, I'm not really someone who enjoys camping, obviously, so I don't know about that. Sonic Liberation, what is your favorite Mini forum, please? If you're referring to Facebook, that would be Minis and Minis International, and that is spelled Minis and Minis International. That is one of my favorite Facebook groups as far as Minis are concerned. They're pretty nice over there. They're very welcoming. One of the admins in there actually welcomes every new member, like, by name, basically. So it's a cool place to go over there and hang out. And yeah, that's one of my favorite places. There's not, as far as forums are concerned, if you're referring like internet forums, that would be, if you're referring to internet forums, North American Motoring used to be one of my favorites, and now it's kind of not. It's kind of just fell by the wayside, as it were, with Facebook kind of being the place where you get everything. So do you work for Mini? No, I do not work for Mini. I know people get that, and the shirt kind of makes people think I work for Mini. I'm just a big fan of the brand, and that's really it. I have a working agreement with the dealership that allows me to use their cars for videos, and in exchange for doing that, I help the sales manager there out with photographing their inventory. So that's how I'm able to photograph, or that's how I'm able to get video of cars that I wouldn't normally have access to, particularly the John Cooper Works cars, because I know that they don't just let anybody drive them. So the fact that I get access to them makes it a little bit easier for me to get them on the channel and get them to you guys so you can actually watch them. So Mayo Chickens, yes, the shirt and how you film your videos on dealership grounds. There you go. Yeah. So the shirt is just because I like the brand, but I have other shirts that I tend to wear, but you know me, I tend to focus on the Mini brand. So that's what I tend to do. But yeah, that's how I'm able to film on the dealership a lot. I've been filming on the dealership's grounds a lot lately, largely because some of the cars I choose not to take off the lot, so I don't put a tag on them, because every time I take a car off the lot, I have to put their dealer tag on it, and I have to fill out loaner car paperwork every time, like I was taking it out for a test drive. So that's one of those things I have to do every single time, and if I did that in one day with every single car, it would be like 5 or 6 cars that I would have had to take out. So I've been kind of spacing things out, as it were, and kind of simplifying things a little bit. And I don't really take them off the lot that often, but I'd like to take a few more off the lot. In fact, my plan now, with it being a little slow, is I'm wanting to do something kind of cool for future videos, where I basically do like a random number generator. And based on that random number, like the last 3 of that random number, we try to match it up with one of the VINs on the lot. And the sales manager is just going to hand me the key to that vehicle. I'll have no clue what vehicle that is, go out to it, and then basically have to do a video review on this car based on walking out there, seeing the vehicle after the fact, and not pre-planning, knowing exactly what car I'm going to go out and film. So that could be an interesting thing. I'm not sure how I'm going to get around to doing that, but we'll find out. So Mayo Chickens, that's awesome, man. So I'm guessing you're a photographer then. Yes, you are correct. I do photography. I do some architectural drawing once in a while when I actually have the time to do it, but I've been so focused on YouTube lately that I haven't really had the time to do anything else. So photography is kind of the big thing that I enjoy doing. Photography, and lately with my YouTube, also video. So I kind of get around doing a lot of other things. So, but it's mostly photography and video. And I used to do a lot more drawing than I do now. My background is actually in architecture, so that's kind of an interesting switch from architecture to cars. So kind of cool, but kind of an interesting thing. I have a master's degree in historic preservation, which is restoring old buildings, and here I am doing a YouTube channel on Mini Coopers. But anyway, we're at 30 minutes and 56 seconds, and I kind of want to wrap it up because it's a little slow tonight. My regulars that are usually in here, Ethan and Mark, aren't here today, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. So I hope you enjoyed this short live stream, and I'm hoping you're gonna enjoy Friday's video. And then, of course, we have hold on a second. Maybe you should build the new mini dealers. Maybe I could. You never know. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I hope you are out there enjoying your minis. I hope you are doing all sorts of cool things with your cars. But if you enjoyed this, go check out my other videos. Go watch more of my channel. There's some other playlists out there. I got some John Cooper Works stuff out there, Cooper S, you name it. But thanks for watching this live stream. Go check out my previous live streams. I'm getting ready to build a playlist for those as well. And as always, I just wanted to let you all know that life is too short to drive a boring car, so drive a Mini. I will catch you all later. You all have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are around the world. Talk to you all later.